Hey guys, welcome back to the Fun Indian Guy channel as well as the Daily Ish Pod. Apart from ongoing innovation case studies and innovation method videos, this one particular video or this one particular episode is our podcast, which is called as Daily Ish Pod, which is coming to our YouTube channel in a video format, which we do once in a while. And as today's occasion did deserve to be here, as this is our 100th podcast. So I thought about making a video podcast of it as well, so we can have video version of it. If you're listening to it right now on any of the podcasting listening apps, I would invite you guys to YouTube channel The Fun Indian Guy and watch this podcast, me doing stuff in person, having this ambient kind of vibe going on, where you will have this wind coming and going, you will have sunlight changing all the time on my face, because just wanted to bring that live element also in today's episode, instead of having controlled light and everything which we usually have on our YouTube channel. And for the YouTube viewers, just a quick introduction to the Daily Ish Pod. It's also a podcast where we talk about creativity, design, innovation, and lifestyle. So if you like those topics, just head over to any of your favorite podcast listening apps or podcasting apps and just search for Daily Ish Pod, and you'll listen to this podcast episode or all the other podcast episodes right over there. So today is our 100th episode. We are hitting the 100th mark. We are nearly reaching the 3 years anniversary as well of the podcast, and just felt amazing to do this one. Wanted to keep doing it since the beginning. The reason why I started podcasting was pretty much to add one more content piece in my ecosystem, and just to have one more video on YouTube. As I said, we used to have a lot of YouTube video podcasts back in the day, along with our audio versions, and then we switched to complete audio, and once in a while we do this videos just for fun and just to get the mutual exchange between the podcasting world and the YouTube video world. And that's what today's podcast is like. And in today's episode, I'm just going to talk about the journey so far, how it felt to build it. And there are some amazing questions about creative block and everything, as I asked for AMAs, ask me anything sort of a thingy for the podcast on LinkedIn, Instagram, and also through my newsletters, where we share different information pieces. I don't know if you saw, but there is a dragonfly flying around, so we might feature that one in this episode. But whoa, okay, it got hit by the fan, but it went out, so that's good. So basically, as I asked on Ask Me Anything section everywhere, just wanted to gather some questions in terms of creativity, design, innovation, and lifestyle. And as I was talking about the newsletter, it's called as Project Thought. It's the same article series which we have on Medium. Just search for Project Thought and you will understand what we are talking about. But I send weekly 2 newsletters, nothing super messy, just about similar topics, sometimes asking you questions, asking you to be part of the creation process, getting your feedbacks on things, getting your insights on new challenges in terms of creativity and innovation. So it's always fun to have you right there and interact with you with the newsletter format. So if you want to do that, the link is right down below. Just subscribe to it, and if you find them not so valuable or important, you can unsubscribe. No hard feelings, I understand. There's so much going on in the world right now. Even asking you to join one more thing feels a bit selfish in a way, but if it adds value in your life, why not? So give it a shot. The link is down below. 100 episodes was a tough journey. If I would have been super duper consistent with putting out the episodes, we would have hit the mark super fast. But 3 years or more or less 3 years and 100 episodes is still pretty okay. 33-ish episodes per year. So that's still less than a week episode per week, but we have been quite consistent lately for last couple of months and so we are putting in episodes like 2 to 3 episodes per week. In terms of content, it has changed. In the beginning, it was pretty much about exploring the format or exploring the medium itself, to understand how to go about the podcasting, how to work with it, how to edit it, how to put it out. So that was an interesting phase. Then we started to invite amazing guests on the podcast. So if you are one of the guests which have been here, thank you for being on the podcast. You made the journey worthwhile. And due to the lockdown last year also, we started to do remote podcasts and started interviewing remotely different people across the globe, because of which I actually got to make the design show for Milan Design Week, the Trip of Design show, which I did with 6 different episodes interviewing amazing architects and designers from across the globe, from Japan, Africa, US, Norway, Italy, Spain, India, because I knew how to go about the medium, how to create such interviews in terms of podcast, I could just apply it in that design format show and just make it happen. So that was interesting, fruitful thing out of this podcast. And just having interesting conversations with people also makes it meaningful on the journey. But if you're following the podcast lately, you must have seen a lot of episodes where I'm going about idea jamming, that I sit with the topic and start talking, and then I explore things with you guys during the podcast episode. And that has been kind of the format of the podcast lately. Again, the topics are about creativity, design, innovation, and lifestyle. And I enjoy doing that as well, because most of the times I sit with the recordings at night peacefully. I sometimes just shut down all the lights and just sitting in the dark with the microphone, and then I record these episodes. And then it just feels wonderful to go on these amazing different hunts in my head, exploring topics while or as I talk. So that is very interesting, and I got good feedback on that. A lot of people found it valuable. A lot of people could relate to it and could come up with new ideas because of this podcast. So that makes it interesting to make. And I actually forgot that we haven't introduced ourselves, or I haven't introduced myself to you guys, and we just started talking because just wanted to share and just enjoy the moment which we are in right now. But let's quickly do the introduction bit. So my name is Suyog, also known as the Fun Indian Guy. I'm a creative strategy and innovation consultant. So with that, basically, I'm working with. We have another feature on the podcast, the bird, the birdie one. Let's call him one because we might have multiple bird sounds here and there. So with creativity, with creative strategy and innovation stuff, which I'm helping a lot of brands across the globe, pushing the needle, doing innovation, doing co-creation with their teams, especially in Germany. I have a bunch of clients there, so it's interesting to do that with them. And being a solo entrepreneur, I get to do that and get to do it with multiple companies, which is an interesting bit of it. I'm also a service designer. That's my background. Why I do the innovation stuff. That's where it comes from. I'm a musician. Been playing music for many years now. I've performed at a bunch of events, not a bunch of events, I've performed at many events, more than 100 concerts across the globe. And I'm also a podcaster, as you must be knowing. And now I can really confidently say that I'm a podcaster and I make a podcast, because we have done the bit of making 100 episodes, so we kind of know what we are doing here. So it just feels interesting. Now it's all about application. How can we apply this? How can we explore this medium further? That's the thing which I'm doing. And I'm also founder of an innovation lab called Futuring Now, where we do innovation workshops, like hands-on creative innovation workshops with individual startups and corporate brands. So that's another avenue or another thing which I'm building on the side, or building with other things, because it's not more on the side. It's like a bunch of projects which I'm doing together. Let's put it that way. So life has been amazing. It has been a very interesting journey, and the podcast has been one thing where I touch base with a lot of people by explaining or updating what I've been doing and what are things which are going in my head. So this gives me that sort of a output or creative output to do so. So that's one more benefit of having this podcast. As I said, we had Ask Me Anything. So let's just jump to a couple of questions which we had, and let's try to answer them. It's also a bit hot, and I think the first question which I'm going to take is going to answer that. So Vrushali, who is a friend of mine from Berlin, she asked, currently, where are you? So this was her question in Ask Me Anything. I'm right now in Dapoli. If you have been following the channel, you must be knowing it. Dapoli is a small town on the west coast of India. I like to call it Bay Area, just to make it sound cool. It's 250 kilometers south Mumbai. So kind of you understand where it is located. And I also like to call it Daples or Dapples sometimes, just like Naples. Napoli, Naples, Dapoli, Daples. So that's how I used to brand it, or that's how I used to promote it, the location or my town when I used to be in Italy. It was very relatable for them. So that's where I am. Rushali, right now I am in Dapoli doing stuff from here and exploring stuff remotely, which is amazing thing, because I get to spend time with my family, be at my house, which I'm doing after 10 years. So for last 10 years, I've never stayed in my house for more than 2 months straight. And this happened because of the lockdown. So some of the things, positive things which came out of the lockdown, along with along with the fact that I got married. So my wife is just chilling here on a beanbag. She actually set this camera up today, so that came handy, and she can apply those skills right here as well. So thank you for that. And that was the first question by Vrushali. Where I am right now. I'm in Dapoli. Next question is by Adina. Your small, tiny, mundane personal plan for 2021. She's not talking about like ambitious goals. She just wants to understand small, tiny, mundane things which we do and how I plan it or how I have planned it for 2021. Adina is a very wonderful friend from Milan. She's actually from Indonesia, but I met her during my studies in Milan, and she has been on the podcast before. She has done a lot of work in creating GIFs for companies and also for different reasons, and her GIFs are nearly hitting 1 billion views now on different social medias. So if you want to understand how you can create opportunities in terms of creating GIFs, head over to Daily Ishpod and search for Adina, and you'll get to listen to that particular episode where she kind of breaks down how she approached this particular field and how she's doing stuff in it. So that might be interesting. Mundane things, personal plan, mundane things. What are some of the tiny mundane things for me? Daily activities. I do not have like a plan. I have directional things. I know where I want to go or where I would like to explore. I do not have like a cut to cut plan. Though this month I actually had a plan for content creation, but that's not under mundane. But for mundane things, I have checklist somehow. Some of the things which mundane things are repetitive things, right? You keep on doing them again and again, and you do not have so much interest in them, but you need to get them done in order to progress or in order to go ahead in your life. So I do not have plan for them, but I just have some checklist here and there, which I go through and I make sure I hit those. But I've never sat down to create a plan for that sort of things. But in terms of content, or in terms of company, in terms of innovation, in terms of clients, I have directions and I know some avenues I want to be at, and I'm all constantly trying to reach there or constantly trying to define those things, but I do not have any such plans in place. Next, we have Ardi Vardi, Prachi, my wife, and she has a very philosophical question, very deep question. Does this world still have any hope left? Super duper amazing question. She is hitting her head with her hand right now. If you can see, I would have loved to show that to you, but there is a lot of mess in this room, so I don't want to show that on the camera. But is there any hope left in this world right now for people? Depends on the context. I'll just directly talk to her. Depends on the context where we are sitting and how we are looking at things. Because if you see back in centuries like 20th century, 19th century, and if we go back further, the life expectancy, the uncertainty of life and everything was much higher. And you had to put a lot of efforts to do it. Like there were wars happening all the time. There were much more harsh pandemic situations where the medical was not as up to date as today, and there were so many small disease you could catch and just die, that your life expectancy was very very low. And most of the times you were clueless because you wouldn't know what is happening. You knew that you are feeling bad or you're going through a bad time or you are sick, but you did not know what is happening, and you did not have sources or resources to understand what is happening. So even if it's not medical, even if it's in terms of education, you did not have enough avenues to go to, and you had just limited resources in first place. So in terms of hope, I don't know how that calculates with hope, but the world was much more difficult than right now. Even if we are in lockdown and pandemic, back in the day the world was much difficult. And as we go ahead, it will get simpler, but we will have the more problems which are on top of the technologies which we are developing. But in terms of life and living, things are going to get better. But in terms of hope, as I read the question again, does this world still have any hope left? I think hope is one thing which keeps us going. So even if the world doesn't offer us any, we need to create some so we can go ahead. Otherwise, why would we live for? Or what would we live for? How was my answer? Yeah, that's just one more idea jam which we had on this hope thing. Next thing on the question, we also have audio questions, because there is a possibility that you can send me a question in an audio note even after this episode. Anytime if you feel like asking me something in terms of audio, because audio is much more meaningful. We can also hear you in the podcast. If you want to do that, there is a link in the description. I'll put also in the video description, but there is always a link in the description of the podcast audio version where you can just click and submit your question or submit your feedback or submit anything in an audio format to me, which potentially can make it to the episode. So we also have some questions in that, and we will go towards them, but let's just quickly finish the textual questions. Abhijit said, you are a very good person. He was asking me anything and he just said, you are a very good person. He did not have any question, but that simple gesture is very beautiful. So Abhijit Paranspe, thank you so much. Means a lot. Mandar, who has been a great supporter of this channel and all the things which I do, he keeps coming back with amazing things, feedbacks, and always puts a reply or comment on some meaningful things which I try to create. Amazing guy Mandar Salunke. He's asking, please can you share your coffee making process? And for that, I think we will need a dedicated video for my coffee making process. Coffee has been a great beverage which we have been exploring for a while. That's the only beverage I spend a lot of money on, and the journey has been interesting because I ended up being in Italy. Italy has a lot of espresso culture, so you keep on drinking espressos. Like I used to drink like 6-7 espressos a day during my university time in Milan. But then espresso is, as you know, it comes out of that machine with compression and temperature and everything, so it has a different sense. And when I moved to Berlin, I got exposed to the world of specialty coffee and mostly V60 and filter coffee and AeroPress and everything. I purchased some of the equipments, like I had AeroPress for a year in Berlin, and I started making these coffees and buying the specialty coffee. And specialty coffee has this one thing which is like it connects you to directly the farmer, so you know where the coffee is coming from which farm, which practices were there, and it's usually or most of the time is sustainable. So if it's not sustainable, it doesn't make it to the roaster. So all the processes are very sustainable, very transparent. You know everything is fair trade, and that's why you have a much more stronger relationship with the coffee and the farm and the roaster. So roasteries are the places where these coffee beans come and they roast it, and then you get the roast and you then make coffee for yourself, or you brew coffee for yourself. So in my process, as I said, AeroPress was the primary thing I was doing when I was in Berlin. So I have the AeroPress with the vacuum thing, in injection like thing, with like a hand grinders to grind the beans, because the more fresh the beans, like the more fresh the ground is, better flavors you get. So you have to have fresh roasts in the first place, and then the fresh grounds. So then the coffee experience is much better when it comes to specialty coffee. So older and pre-ground coffee which has been stayed for too long is not gonna give you a pleasurable experience. So I had hand grinder, so I can ground it quickly. I can grind it quickly and drink it fresh. And now after shifting to India, or after visiting India last time, I bought V60, which is like a pour over thingy where you pour over coffee from top. If you want more visual representation, just go to my Instagram, The Fun Indian Guy. There will be highlighted stories of coffee where you can see the process and stuff. But now I have to pour over every morning. Me and Prachi go out and we make the coffee. That's the first thing which we do. It's also a very spiritual experience, which I always talk about. Even just making the coffee itself gives you a different kind of a start. It gets you in a nice mindscape and good start to a day. And in the evening, now we have found this one particular roast called Nilgiri by Dope Coffee Roasters from Mumbai. And they are making really good coffee. So these days, we are also pulling out espressos from mocha pot, those decoction thingies which you keep on the stove and then comes out boiling. Again, very usual equipment or usual vessel to have in Italian households. So that's very obvious thing to have there. So we pull the espresso from there and we try to make different espresso drinks like cappuccino, macchiato, not Marocchino. Marocchino, you need chocolate. We don't do that. And we do a lot of iced brews and iced coffees and iced lattes as well, or lattes as well. So that has been my coffee journey. But in terms of process, maybe it deserves a separate video. But thanks for asking, Mandar. Next two questions are by Sharath .entrepreneur. That's his handle on Instagram. First question was, I have an idea to convert an IC vehicle into EV at the cheapest cost possible. It needs to run it needs a lot of R&D. How can I get funded to create technical feasibility and also my first prototype? Interesting question. In terms of funding, I'm not the best person to ask this question, but in terms of maturing the idea and testing the idea, I think if you know that you have some sort of solution, giving some sort of evidence will always be amazing. Even if you do not have prototype, but supporting your hypothesis by data, by statistics, by research, by some facts is going to be always helpful. But before you go out and put your solution out there, your first step will be to understand what problem are you trying to solve and how you are going to solve it. That is very important, doing research about the problem itself. So once you know that you are solving a meaningful problem, it's easier to build a solution, because just building random solutions and putting out there doesn't make any sense. It's always good to understand what are you trying to solve in this world. Next step is understanding what is happening on the topic around the globe. So sometimes we have the idea and we feel like, man, this idea is such an amazing idea. I'm gonna do great things with these ideas, but that time we do not have complete exposure or complete understanding of what's happening around the world. So getting that awareness is very important. So what we call is benchmarking, where you go around, do research on internet mostly, most of the times, and understand which are other companies who are doing something in this particular sector. So you get all the information on that, and then you have some sort of matrix. If you want to further explore this, go to futuringnow.com. That's our innovation lab. There is one particular workshop which we have on sale right now called Idea Quick Starter Workshop, or Quick Start Your Ideas. And in that you have step-by-step process of doing these things, of finding the meaningful problem, exploring it globally, and then testing it. So as I said, you benchmark it, you understand what is happening around the world. So then it makes sense to see if our solution is any different, or is solving any problem on top of what is already out there. And if we are just merely exactly the same as other people in the world, then how should we differentiate ourselves on the market? Is it by cost? Is it by technology? Is it by collaborations with other brands or something? Depends on your sector, but that's next thing you need to understand. And once you know that, you create like a small draft of your product or a service. You prototype. Sometimes you do not have to always create the actual prototype, but you can create the prototype. For example, if you have a IC and EV thingy, you can also create a communication prototype where you talk about what you are going to solve and how you're going to solve. And then you test it with potential stakeholders. Stakeholders could be people who will be interested in using your technology. It could be end consumers or end customers. It could be companies who can potentially get your partnership on the topic. So you test it with them, you talk to them, understand their approach on that, get more insights, and then you sit with the insights and then understand what you should do next. And then you roadmap it and understand how to reach the next steps. So this is like the first homework everybody has to do when they come up with a new idea, because it's very important, because you don't want to waste your resources just to understand that the solution already exists and they do it much better than you, and you do not have any competition or competitive advantage. So do your homework, understand the thing, and then once you have something solid, then start looking for people to pitch it to, who can potentially fund. And if you are really convinced, or if the market says, or if the experts on the topic says that this solution can go a long way, it's also a good idea to invest your own money or take money to build it, like the evidence of it, and then put it out there. And that way you can go ahead and do the next steps. So I do not have extreme knowledge on getting funding in the primary round of the idea, but I would definitely say do your homework, come up with a great proposal, and come up with a great project. Then the next steps get much more easier than going out without a homework. I know you must already know a lot on the topic, but some structured way and presenting it will go a long way. And if you want to do the quick start stuff, reach out to me on Instagram again and we will help you. With that, let's head over to the audio question which we have. Gonna be interesting. This is the first time actually I'm answering an audio question on the podcast. So as I said, if you want to send some more, don't hesitate, just send them and we will plug them inside our podcast. It will be very interesting to hear you as well, because that gives a different sense to answering the question. And also the sun has gone down. There are some clouds. So that's the shift in the light. And we are not using any external lights today. So yeah, stay with me. Natural stuff. As if you were just sitting in my bedroom here and talking to me and having a conversation. So I hope you get that sort of feeling while going through this podcast. And if you do, would be super cool. So let's listen to Simran, who sent us a question. Let's go.
Hi Suyog, this is Simran Saluja, and here is my rocket science question for you. So, at times we go through a mental block phase where we feel like being over the treadmill, running and running, yet reaching nowhere, or just simply stuck, simply blank. So, have you been through this mental block? And if yes, then the obvious follow up question: how have you overcome that phase?
First of all, thank you, Simran, for taking out time and sending this question to us. Interesting question. Creative block or mental block. I think most of us feel that we are into a creative block and we have been blocked by something, or we are not able to put out things which we want to put out. And many of us can relate to this fact. And I think what we need to do when we are in such situation is to analyze what's actually going on, because I've been reading a lot of books from Seth Godin. The recent book which I just finished is called as Practice, which is also his latest book. And in that he is explaining this fact that mental block it's a kind of a thing which we make up in our head, which actually stops us from doing what we are supposed to do. And by that, what I mean is to really understanding what's stopping us. And most of the times, what stops us is not having a really good plan or not having a good schedule, or not having a good process. That's the meaningful thing, or that's a better word. Not having a good process to keep on doing it. If you set up a nice process for yourself of doing anything, then it's easy to follow or easy to build what we are building. For example, if we are doing any creative project, let's say we want to write a book, or we want to write an article. We get up every day and we are like, I want to write an article, and somehow it doesn't happen. Next day we get up, we are like, man, I'm so inspired right now. I just watched like 10 videos on YouTube. I'm sold. I just want to write the article. I know exactly what I'm going to write. But somehow then you sit, then you don't sit. I don't know. It just doesn't go through and you don't make an article. On the other hand, if you have a process that you say on every Tuesday after lunch, I'm going to write an article, then you are narrowing down the scope, right? Then you are channeling everything, your energy, into that particular moment so that you can sit on Tuesday after lunch to write an article. By having such process, it's very easy to build. It's the best way to clear the mental block. Mental block is being clueless and not understanding what we want to do. So we can get over the block by having a process or a direction. And I have been through this kind of situation. Actually, for this month, I created a small direction and a process for the whole month's content creation. And it had been wonderful. Like, when things are emotionally driven, it's very difficult to get them through. But when things are going through a process and then you fuel it with emotion, but you still follow process, it's easier to build things, because a lot of things are always there in our head. If we don't put them out, it's not gonna make any sense. So as I said, I kind of figured out like a 4-step method of getting into a process. It deserves a separate video, but I'll just share it with you guys here because you are here and it just makes sense to do it. So first step to build any project is define the boundaries. What do we mean by defining the boundaries? Just like I said, no, on Tuesday after lunch, we're going to write an article. So those are the boundaries which we are setting here, which is kind of helping us channel everything. So all the mess which is in our head, it's channeled because we are on Tuesday after lunch, we're going to sit down and write an article. These boundaries will help. We can add some more elements into it. For example, I'll write an article about, now we are going a bit micro, I'll write an article only about machine learning or electric mobility, e-mobility. By that, now we have a trigger which says on Tuesday when I sit for the article, I'm going to write an article about e-mobility. And now I'm not clueless because there's infinite possibilities we can write stuff about. But by having like e-mobility, I am set. So that's how you kind of find your boundaries to set yourself in a process. That's step 1. Step 2 is having a format. By which I mean having a format will always help you to repeat the process again and again. And it's also again micro. So we say e-mobility. I'll write an article about e-mobility. I'll sit for 1 hour. I'll write these 3 paragraphs. And this is how the article will go. And these will basically, so if I sit down to write an article, these are the checklist I want to hit. So I'll write this, then I'll research about this, I'll put this, and that's my format of the article. So once you know the format of the creation, it's easy to replicate because then you know, okay, when I sit down, I need to do this, and this. So again, you have a more boiled down structured plan. It's just like I'm making the creative or let's say innovation case study videos where I know I'll talk about one startup or one technology which is booming right now. I'll break down what they do, what kind of problem they're solving, what are the new techniques they're using, and then I'll come up with a conclusion that these are some of the learnings we can apply in any of the contexts. So being in any innovation or startup business, you can apply those things. So the video becomes inspiration for the viewers, but for me, there is a format which I can follow. So you set the boundaries for the getting into the practice of doing. You have format which helps you create a specific thing in a repeated manner. And the third step is having an overarching umbrella process, which is like a bigger thing on top of everything that you sit for practice of creating. You have a format of creating stuff, but then you have a process of putting it out there. You have like a sort of a plan for a whole month that every week when you get up, every day, you know exactly what you're going to do. And by having this kind of process, which is repeatable, as I said, I did it for 1 month and I'm like, I put out 3 podcasts every week, 2 videos every week, 2 articles and 2 newsletters. And this is like the 4th week or a 5th week of doing it. So because of having this process of understanding which day I'm doing what helps me to understand when I get up, I have something to do instead of just waiting for that inspiration and motivation and all the things to align, all the stars to align so that I can sit down and make a video. I can sit down, write an article or something like that. So these are 3 steps. And the 4th step is basically experimenting. So even if you have a process, it might work for a month or 2, but then you'll get bored. And this is also, then it will go into that mundane zone. So to avoid that, you always experiment and come up with new processes to keep everything interesting, engaging. So experimentation has also been a huge part of the content itself, because you can't keep on making the same style of videos, same style of articles throughout. You will get bored at some point. Even in my podcast, as I said in the beginning, the things have changed. Even on my YouTube channel, things have changed, and change is going to be constant. So you need to create a space for that change to come inside the process. So experiments. So let's just summarize this thing. Step 1, we set us boundaries for us to create certain things, format, so we, whatever we create can be repeatable, so we understand every bits and pieces of it, all the elements of it. Then we have the overarching process to hold everything together, so we know every week what we want to do and what needs to be coming out, and or what needs to come out. And the step 4 is experiment and always change things. So those were like my 4-step thing, which again I said no, I'll dive deeper on it and create like a dedicated video, but right now you get the basic idea about it. And that's how I get out of mental blocks, or I do not reach mental blocks in the first place, because I know exactly where we are going. In terms of rut and repeating same things and feeling that we are just running on a treadmill, I think experimentation, the step 4, is going to be crucial, because even if it's creatively amazing, repeating the same thing might not lead to the best satisfaction or happiness, or might not even help people, which we are trying to help here. So yeah, experiment and get out of it. So I hope that answers your question, Simran. With that, we covered all the questions. Super happy that we did that. If you have any additional questions, just reach out to me on Instagram and send me your questions, or if you have feedback, anything, just send it across or send an audio note. I'm going to push that audio thingy, because it's wonderful to listen to you. Like here, Simran shared her question with us, so it felt like we had Simran here on this podcast. Especially if you're listening to the podcast, it feels like she was part of the podcast. So let's do that by sending audio notes. So if you, I would invite you, or I would appreciate if you do that. With that, guys, I would thank you so much for being with me throughout the journey of creating this channel, creating the podcast. 100 episodes means a lot that you have been here for part of it or throughout. Makes sense. You might even leave this journey with me and go ahead and explore something else for you. That is also fine, because we keep changing, our inspirations keep changing, our content consumptions keep changing, and I appreciate that, and I totally get it, because even I live similar life. So if whatsoever or how much ever part you have been of my journey, or how much of a part I have got to touch in your life, it was a really pleasure to do that, and it means means a lot to me. And I miss opportunities to interact with you directly and get in touch with you, or have conversations like in a human sense. That is still lacking. But the fact that you are there and listening to it, or the fact that you're sitting and watching this and putting your hours in it, giving me your time, it's very, very valuable. And I hope to build this relationship further by creating stuff which is helpful, can help you in some way, can push you in some way, can motivate you in some way. And there are downtimes also on the channel. There are downtimes in my life in creation process, and I talk about them. So not like those I'm burned out and all those kinds of videos which we see going around on YouTube, but passively, like in a smaller bit, because in the end of the day we have to get up and start making, irrespective of the consequences. And if we reach the low bottom or bottomest point, it's easier to rise from there. But the learnings which we have are worth sharing, so you won't have to go through the same situation, or if you go through the same situation, you will know what to do, or you will have basic understanding of what people or what other people have done when they went through the same situation. So the journey has been very organic, and I'm very happy about that. And the fact that I started the podcast, I feel very happy about that as well. The podcast started with the Fun Indian Guy name, the Fun Indian Guy podcast, and now it's called as Daily Ish Podcast or Daily Ish Pod. So that was a fun rebranding as well. With that, I guess just wanted to thank you, just wanted to have a chill time with you. Unfortunately, I did not bring coffee. I should have, so we could have had a coffee time together. Maybe we can have it some other time. But yeah, thanks guys. Means super duper a lot. And keep supporting if you still find value in it. follow the podcast wherever you're listening to. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And with that, I'll catch you in the next podcast or in the next video talking about innovation methods or case study or our core topics: creativity, design, innovation, and lifestyle. And yeah, just thanks for listening. Thanks for staying till the end. And take care. Stay safe. Goodbyes have always been tough. Goodbyes have always been tough, even in person, since my childhood, and it always repeats whenever I do an episode. So yeah, if you have been here for a while, you know it already. Don't have to say much more. Yeah, had a beautiful day today, and it's quite hot. And just because I wanted to have this greenery and this live nature in the podcast. Did not close the window and the air condition was on, so it's too hot as well. And I know you feel it by looking at me right now. It might feel like I'm gonna cry, but it's sweat. Though the situation or the occasion is in a way that it's okay to cry because we did something good. All right, guys, that's all from my end, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Peace.